Book of Heaven, Volume 12. 6th to the 30th of December 1917. Page 34–40. December 6, 1917. The reason why Jesus can never like acts done outside of his will. After having received Jesus in the sacrament, I was telling my Jesus, I kiss you with the kiss of your will. You are not content if I give you only my kiss, but you want the kiss of all creatures. So I give you the kiss in your will, because in it I find all creatures. And on the wings of your will, I take all their mouths and I give you the kiss of all. And as I kiss you with the kiss of your love, so that I may kiss you not with my love, but with your own love, and you may feel the contentment, the sweetness and the gentleness of your own love on the lips of all creatures, in such a way that, as you are attracted by your own love, I may force you to kiss all creatures. But then, who can tell all the nonsense I was saying to my lovable Jesus? Then my sweet Jesus told me, my daughter, how sweet it is for me to see, to feel, the soul in my will. Without realizing it, she finds herself at the heights of my acts, of my prayers, of the way I acted when I was on this earth. She places herself almost at my level. In my most tiny acts, I enclosed all creatures, past, present and future, in order to offer to the Father complete acts in the name of all creatures. Not even one breath of the creatures escaped me, which I did not enclose in me. Otherwise the Father might have found some exceptions in recognizing the creatures, and all their acts, because they would not have been done by me and have come out from me. He might have said to me, you have not done everything, and for everyone, your work is not complete. I cannot recognize all of them, because you have not embodied them all within you, and I want to recognize only what you did. Therefore, in the immensity of my will, of my love and power, I did everything, and for everyone. So, how could other things, outside of my will, ever please me, as beautiful as they might be? They are always low, human and finite acts. Instead, the acts in my will are noble, divine, interminable and infinite, as my volition is. They are similar to mine, and I give them the same value, love, power of my own acts. I multiply them in everyone. I extend them to all generations and to all times. What do I care if they are small? They are still my acts that are being repeated, and that's enough. And then, the soul places herself in her true nothingness, not in humility, in which she always feels something of herself. And as a nothing she enters into the all, and operates with me, in me and like me, completely stripped of herself, not caring about merit or self-interest, but all intent only on making me happy, giving me absolute lordship over her acts, without even wanting to know what I do with them. Only one thought occupies her: to live in my will, praying to me that I may give her the honor. This is why I love her so much, and all my predilections and my love are for this soul who lives in my will. And if I love the others, it is by virtue of the love which I have for this soul, and which descends from her, just as the Father loves the creatures by virtue of the love he has for me. And how true it is what you say, that in your will one wants nothing and wants to know nothing. If one wants to do something, it is because you have done it. One feels the ardent desire to repeat your things. Everything disappears, one no longer wants to do anything. And Jesus, and I make her do everything, and I give everything to her. December 12, 1917. How the Son is a simile of the acts done in the divine will. Continuing in my usual state, I was fusing all of myself in the holy will of my sweet Jesus, and I prayed, I loved, I repaired. And he said to me, my daughter, do you want a simile for the acts done in my will? Look up and you will see the sun, a circle of light, with its limits and its shape. But the light which comes from this sun, from within the limits of its circle, fills the earth and extends everywhere, not in a round shape, but wherever it finds earth, mountains, seas to illuminate and to invest with its heat. So much so, that with the majesty of its light, with the beneficial influence of its heat, and by investing everyone, the sun becomes the king of all planets, and holds supremacy over all created things. Now, such are the acts done in my will, and still more. In doing her act, the creature makes it small and limited, but as it enters into my will, it becomes immense, it invests all. It gives light and heat to all. It reigns over all. It acquires supremacy over all the other acts of creatures, it has right over all. Therefore, she rules, she dominates, she conquers. Yet, her act is small. But by doing it in my will, it went through an incredible transformation, which not even angels are allowed to comprehend. I alone can measure the just value of these acts done in my will. They are the triumph of my glory, the outpouring of my love, the fulfillment of redemption, and I feel as though repaid for creation itself. Therefore, always forward, in my will. December 28, 1917. Jesus wants the continuous acts of the creature. It does not matter if they are small. As long as there is the motion, the seed, he unites them to his own, and he makes them great. Continuing in my usual state and being a little in suffering, I thought to myself, how is it that I cannot find rest, either at night or during the day? Rather, the weaker and the more suffering I feel, the more my mind is awake and unable to take rest. And my sweet Jesus told me, "My daughter, you do not know the reason, but I do, and now I will tell you. My humanity had no rest. Even in sleep I had no respite, but I worked intensively. And this, because having to give life to everyone and everything, and redo everything within me, it was convenient for me to work without stopping for one instant. And one who has to give life, must be in continuous motion and uninterrupted act. Therefore, I was in continuous act of letting lives of creatures out of myself, and of receiving them. Had I wanted to rest, how many lives would not be delivered? How many, without my continuous act, would not develop and would remain withered? How many would not enter into me, because the active life of the only one who can give life, is missing? Now, my daughter, since I want you together with me in my will, I want your continuous act. Therefore, your awake mind is act, the murmuring of your prayer is act, the movements of your hands, the beating of your heart, the moving of your glances, are acts. They may be small, but what do I care? As long as there is the motion, the seed, I unite them to mine, I make them great, and I give them the virtue of producing lives. My acts too were not all apparently great, especially when, as a little one, I moaned and suckled milk from my mama. I amused myself in kissing her, caressing her, entangling my little hands with hers. Then, when I was a little older, I picked flowers, I brought the water, and other things. These were all little acts, but they were united in my will, in my divinity, and this was enough. They were so great as to be able to create millions and billions of lives. Therefore, as I was moaning, lives of creatures were coming out from my moans. I suckled, I kissed, I caressed, but lives were coming out. Souls were flowing in my fingers entangled with the hands of my mama, and as I picked the flowers and brought the water, souls were coming out from the heartbeat of my uncreated heart, and they entered into it. My motion was continuous. This is the reason for your vigil. When I see your motion and your acts in my will, now placing themselves at my side, now flowing in my hands, now in my voice, in my mind or in my heart, I make of them the motion of all, and I give life to each one in my will, giving them the virtue of my own acts, and I make them run for the salvation and for the good of all. December 30, 1917. Sorrow of Jesus because of those of steel affections and hearts of creatures from him. Continuing in my usual state, my always lovable Jesus made himself seen afflicted, and he was lamenting for the many who steal affections and hearts of creatures from him, by putting themselves in his place within the souls. And I said to him, "My love, is this vice so ugly that it saddens you so much?" And he, "My daughter, it is not only ugly, but awful. It is to turn upside down the order of the Creator, placing themselves on top and myself underneath, telling me, I too am good at being God. What would you say, if someone stole 1,000,000 from someone else, rendering him poor and unhappy? And he should either give it back, or he would deserve condemnation. And Jesus, yet, when they steal affections and hearts from me, it is more than stealing 1,000,000, since these are material and low things, while those are spiritual and high. If one wants, millions can be returned, but not those, never. So, these are irreparable, uncancelable thefts. And if the fire of purgatory will purify these souls, it will never be able to return and fill the vacuum of one single affection, which they took away from me. Yet, this is not taken into account. On the contrary, it seems that some go along selling these affections, and they are happy only when they find a buyer, who would purchase someone else's affection without having any scruple. They have scruples if they steal from creatures, but they steal from me, and do not give it a thought. Ah! My daughter, I gave everything to creatures, and I said, take anything you want for yourself, and for me, leave only your heart. Yet, this is denied to me. Not only this, but they even steal the affections of others. And this is done not only by secular people, but also by sacred persons, by pious souls. Oh, how much harm is caused by certain directions, too sweet, by certain unnecessary compliances, by too much listening, using attractive manners. Instead of doing good, they form a maze around the souls, and when I am forced to enter into those hearts, I would rather run away, in seeing that their affections are not mine, and that their heart is not mine. And this, from whom? From one who should reorder the souls in me. On the contrary, he has taken my place, and I feel such nausea that I cannot stand being in those hearts, but I am forced to stay until the accidents are consumed. What a slaughter of souls! These are the true wounds of my church. This is the reason for so many ministers being snatched from churches. And no matter how many prayers they say to me, I do not listen. There are no graces for them. Rather, I answer them with a sorrowful cry from my heart, thieves! Move, go out of my sanctuary, for I cannot stand you any more. I was frightened, and I said, placate yourself, O Jesus. Look at us as the fruit of your blood, of your wounds, and change the scourges into graces. And he added, things will go forward. I will humiliate man to the dust, and various sudden and unexpected accidents will continue to occur, to confuse man even more. Wherever he believes to find escape, he will find a tie, where a victory, a defeat, where light, darkness, so that he himself will say, I am blind, and I don't know what else to do. The destructive sword will continue to devastate, until everything is purified.